Om Shri Ganeshaya Namaha. Om Shri Saraswatyai Namaha. Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Sada Shiva Samarambham Shankaracharya Madhyamam Asmadacharya Paryantam Vande Guru Paramparam. Shruti Smriti Purananam Alayam Karunalayam Namami Bhagavatpada Shankaram Lokashankaram. Shankaram Shankaracharyam Keshavam Badharayanam Sutrabhashya Kritav Vande Bhagavantau Punah Punah. Samasta Jana Kalyane Niratam Karunamayam Namami Chinmayam Devam Sadgurum Brahma Vidvaram. Sadgurum Brahma Vidvaram. Om Partaya Pratibodhitam Bhagavata Narayanena Swayam Vyasena Graditam Purana Munina Madhye Mahabharatam Advaitamrutavarshini Bhagavati Ashtadashadyayini Ambatvam Anusandadhami Bhagavad Gite Bhavadveshini Yam Brahma Varunendra Rudra Marutah Stunvanti Devyaistavaihi Vedai Sangapadakramopanishadaihi Gayanti Yam Samagah Dhyanavastita Tadgatena Manasa Pashyanti Yam Yogino Yasyantam na vidussura suraganah Devaya Tasmai Namaha Devaya Tasmai Namaha. Hari Om. In the first chapter of the Bhagavad Gita, Vedavyasa revealed the human problem of samsara. And it was shown that problem of samsara expresses itself in the form of raga, attachment, shoka, grief, and moha, delusion, confusion. Raga, problem of attachment, is emotional dependence. You get attached to things, people, etc. External factors you depend on. And then when that dependence does not give you what you're looking for, when it is not reliable, you count on that, doesn't happen, then that brings you a lot of grief. Shoka. Shoka is grief that the mind faces due to that emotional dependence. And the third problem is when your mind is in that grip of this emotional dependence and deep sorrow, the mind gets confused. So moha is confusion, delusion. So this is what happens. And then you don't think straight. And that itself begets a lot of other problems. Mind loses its power of discrimination. You do dumb things and you suffer more. This is what happens. Hmm. Now, when Arjuna faced these problems intensely in the battlefield, when he was looking at Bhishma and Drona, people whom he respected, revered, a lot of love was there for them. And at the prospect of having to kill them, he was overcome with all this emotion, and he tried to solve all those problems by himself first. But he was not successful. But thank God he did something smart. What did he do? He surrendered at the feet of the Lord and sought the Lord as his guru. And in the Bhagavad Gita, Bhagavan Sri Krishna does not play the role of Bhagavan. He takes the role of a guru only. That's why in Gita Dhyana Shloka we say, Krishnam Vande Jagat Gurum. Call him Jagat Guru. And of course, he was happy to do this, willingly and happily took upon the role of a guru. Then, this happened in the initial verses. The surrender happened early in the second chapter. And after that, Bhagwan gives the teaching, started working on the solution. His approach to solving that problem is clearly establishing self-knowledge, Atma Jnana. That alone is the remedy. Could have easily said, no, do this and your problems will be solved. He didn't say that. All those will be band-aid solutions. We want a permanent cure for this. Any other solution will be just palliative treatment. It will just treat the symptoms. But you want something curative, something that cures the disease once and for all. So he gives self-knowledge right in the beginning of the Bhagavad Gita. Atma Vidya, Atma Jnana, Brahma Vidya, Brahma Jnana, whatever you want to call. Of course, Bhagavad Gita deals with various other topics also, but the main thrust is Atma Jnana. You should not forget the fact. There's elaborate talk about Karma Yoga. So much so, a lot of people, what is the message of Bhagavad Gita? If you ask them, Karma Yoga. And they will quote Karmanyevadikaraste ma paleshu gadachana. Famous verses are there. Immediately rattle off. Karma Yoga is talked about. Of course, it is Yoga Shastra and also Brahma Vidya, both are there. But the thrust is Brahma Vidya. We should really understand that and gain that knowledge. And he gives, in the second chapter itself, he gives the entire range of sadhanas that are required for self-knowledge. The second chapter is the very essence of the entire Gita. And 2 stages of the sadhanas are talked about. The first stage is Karma Yoga, the Pravritti Marga, an active stage of sadhana. And the second stage is Jnana Yoga, the Nivritti stage. More of a stage withdrawn from activity and pursuit of knowledge. Karma Yoga needs Anatma orientation. Jnana Yoga needs Atma orientation. Both are dealt with in the second chapter. albeit briefly. The rest of Gita is an elaboration of what he said in the second chapter. And Karma Yoga was presented as a means of purifying the mind. And Bhagavan made it very clear that Karma Yoga does not give liberation. It does not give you liberation, but it prepares you to gain knowledge which will give you liberation. So after the preparation, one has to necessarily go through Jnana Yoga, which we say is Vedanta Shravana Manana Nididhyasana. Karma Yoga involves converting all our karma into worship. Jnana Yoga involves self-inquiry through the scriptures under the guidance of a guru. So all these things you should keep in mind, should not forget as we study the Gita. And in the third chapter, Sri Krishna discussed Karma Yoga in great detail. We just concluded the chapter, a very important chapter. And it would not be a bad idea to go back and review it on your own. Make sure all ideas are grasped. And he did that because Arjuna was confused. Because in the beginning, as we saw, even in the summary yesterday, last week, I told you, he was confused and said, you talk gloriously about jnana, and then you're asking me to do karma. So he didn't quite understand whether he should pursue knowledge or perform action. So that point was clarified, and Bhagavan very clearly said there is no choice as to act or not to act. But the point is, the important focus should be with what attitude you act and what attitude you must have when the results come. So it's a question of attitude, and you need to cultivate that attitude. While acting, while you're performing the action, you should have Ishvara Arpana Buddhi. Perform all actions as dedication to Bhagavan, to Ishvara. Ishvara Arpana. All actions are dedicated, God-dedicated actions. When results come, accept the results without resistance. Accept them as prasada. So that is called prasada buddhi. So if you have this bhavana, Ishvara Arpana Buddhi, while performing the action, and Prasada Buddhi, when you get the results, that karma becomes Karma Yoga. And when you do this for a long period of time, you will gain purity of mind. That's what is necessary, and that is the Jnana Yogyata. You need a pure mind. Chitta Shuddhi and Chitta Ekagrata. So these are required for one to be successful in the pursuit of knowledge. Even though one knows all this, people don't act that way. And so Arjuna, towards the end of the third chapter, he asked, why do people not act in this spirit of Karma Yoga? And the obstacle was given. Bhagavan very precisely said, simply put, it is desire. Kamayesha, Krodhayesha. That is the enemy. And Krodha is really Kama, desire in different form. So desire, where is it? It resides in the body, mind, intellect. And so you have to root it out. With sense control, Dhamaha, mind control, Shamaha, and proper discrimination, Viveka. And thus concluded the third chapter. The fourth and fifth chapters will be an elaboration on Jnana Yoga. Third chapter, Karma Yoga. Fourth chapter is called Jnana Karma Sanyasa Yoga. Karma Sanyasa, giving up action, Jnana, Jnanena, through knowledge. How to give up action? By getting the right knowledge. We'll see the significance of this title more later. To understand this, you should remember the Jnana Yoga portion of the second chapter, verses 12 through 25. So please keep reading those verses. 14 verses again and again. At least until the fifth chapter. Very much it is required. So with this brief background, we will enter the fourth chapter. Ata chaturtodhyayah Shri Bhagavan uvacha Imam vivasvate yogam Proktavanahamavayam Vivasvan manave praha Manurikshvakave bravit Imam vivasvate yogam Proktavanahamavayam Vivasvan manave praha Manurikshvakave bravit. Even though Bhagavan wants to elaborate on Jnana Yoga, but before getting into the topic, he takes a short diversion, a digression in the first 8 verses. There are 2 topics that are discussed in this segment, in these 8 verses. One is Gita Mahima, the glory, the greatness of Gita. That is one topic he takes up. Second topic is Avatara Rahasyam or Avatara Siddhanta, Avatara incarnation. So we should understand what this Avatara means. So he talks about, in this way, this chapter is a very unique chapter. This topic of Avatara Siddhanta is not talked about anywhere else in Bhagavad Gita. Bhagavad Gita, there is a lot of repetition. But this particular topic, he deals with that only here. Avatara Siddhanta. There are a couple of other topics that are discussed only in the 4th chapter. So the 4th chapter is a very unique chapter. So the first point he takes up is the glories, Gita Mahima. What is the greatness of Bhagavad Gita? Bhagavan is a great salesman, marketing genius. So before you sell any product or service, the marketing has to be good. You need to create an awareness, an enthusiasm. You see people jumping up and down, drinking a can of Pepsi or Coke, and they think life is that. You got to give them that. Right? How much of time and effort and money is spent on this commercials. In the same way, Bhagwan also does a little bit of marketing, talking about Gita's glory in this chapter. And of course, in this, he does not say, whatever I'm going to be teaching you is my philosophy or anything. He does not claim any originality. He says, This is condensed from the Vedas only. Whatever is taught in the Vedas only, I'm going to teach you. Very clearly he says that. He's not going to take credit, even though he's Jagat Guru and he's Bhagavan himself. Now, of course, it came from him, this knowledge came from him only. But even then, in this role, he doesn't take credit. Quite often, people take credit for work that somebody else had done. Happens all the time in the academia, in regular office, and of course in politics. Yeah? But the Lord does not do that here. He does not want to claim that the teaching as his own original teaching. This teaching is beginningless Vedic. Traditionally, Vedas are considered as a gift from the Lord. Came from Bhagavan only, but was transmitted, revealed through rishis. When the creation comes, Vedas come along with that. Vedas are considered as revelations to rishis. And technically, we call them Apaurusheya Shastra. It's not human composition. It contains all the knowledge, all the teachings necessary for humanity. Covers both material prosperity and spiritual fulfillment. Both topics are covered. And it has been coming down in the form of Guru Shishya Parampara. Karana Parampara. By the word of mouth. Those days there was no printing and all that. So it always. So you need a Guru, you need a Shishya, and then it has been coming down with that Parampara. But somehow this knowledge was lost in course of time. Meaning the teaching became weaker and weaker. It being the Lord's teaching, the Lord himself takes the responsibility to revive the teaching for the benefit of humanity. So Bhagavan says one of the purposes of my avatara is the revival of Vedic wisdom. You should not think Bhagavan takes avatara to kill Ravana or Kamsa. Okay, that's not the main intent. Be it Ramayana or Krishna Paramatma's avatara, different purpose is there. So he very clearly says, I have taken this avatara to revive this knowledge. Other things he did, Kamsa Chanura Mardana, they are only side acts. My primary act is that of being a Jagat Guru, teaching the entire humanity. And at the end of Gita, you will see. He says, I love everyone, but whoever teaches and propagates Gita, I love them most. Meaning, how this knowledge should spread. That is the intent. Now, this is the glory of Bhagavad Gita. The first 3 verses talk about the greatness of Gita. So, look at the words. Shri Bhagavan Vacha. The Blessed Lord said, what did he say? Aham imam yogam proktavan. Hey Arjuna, I had given the same teaching. Whatever I'm going to, or whatever I have taught you so far, and the rest of Gita, the same teaching I had given before in the name of Vedas. So I am giving the same teaching that is there in the Vedas to you. Previously, I gave the teaching in the form of Veda. Now, I'm giving it a new name. Gita is a new name for Veda. Quite often, that is another marketing technique. Same old product with a new name, new and improved stamp. packaging is different, more attractive. Same old, same old. Old wine in a new bottle. The saying is also there. So he took the Veda and gave it a new name, brand name, Gita. Aham imam yogam. Here, yoga refers to Jnana yoga. With karma yoga as the upaya, a technique, a preparatory step. So, a technique which will make you yourself eligible for Jnana yoga, that is karma yoga. I taught this, proktavan. I revealed this wisdom. To whom? To Surya Bhagavan. This teaching, avyayam yogam, imperishable knowledge, a teaching that's never obsolete, it's ever valid. Even in the 21st century, all other sciences, they may change, they may be improved, and all this new discoveries are being made. But this teaching, this knowledge, this science is relevant even today, even now. So that is why the teaching is called Sanatana Dharma. Sanatana, everlasting. Another interpretation for Avyayam, the result of this knowledge is imperishable. Whatever you get, the benefit you get, imperishable. You realize you are the imperishable self. You will realize that you are immortal. You realize your immortality. The knowledge is imperishable. It'll always be with you. There's no decrease. There's no decay for the knowledge. And the result that you get is also imperishable. So he says, I, as Mahavishnu, reveal this to Surya Bhagavan. The sun is called Vivaswan. Vivaswan because Vivaha means Annam, food. Annam represents energy, nourishment. So that is the energizer. And we know the sun alone is responsible for food, directly or indirectly. Vivaswan manave praha. Vivaswan taught this to his son as Vaivasvata Manuhu. He belongs to the Surya Vamsa. Sri Rama Vamsa is called Surya Vamsa. Sita ji Parampara is Chandra Vamsa. Therefore, Vaivasvata Manu, the entire dynasty came from there. Now, our current age is presided over by Vaivasvata Manu. This age is called Vaivasvata Manvantaram. Those of you who are familiar with some of the mantras that are chanted during pujas and all that, these terms will be familiar to you. Vaivasvata Manvantaram. That's why we are called Manavaha. We are called Manavaha because Manuputraha. We are all descendants from Manu. So Vivaswan taught this knowledge to his son Manu, and Manu in turn, Manuhu Ikshvahave Abravid. He taught it to Ikshvaku. So this parampara he has briefly indicated here. We say that the spiritual teaching comes through two paramparas. One is the Kshatriya parampara of Vivaswan, Manu, Ikshvaku. Sri Ramchandra comes in the Ikshvaku dynasty only, in that parampara only. So that is one. That is Kshatriya parampara. Then we have Sanaka, Sanandana, Sanatana. That parampara is there. That represents Brahmana parampara. And Bhagavan Sri Krishna here cites the Kshatriya parampara. Because both the student and teacher are Kshatriyas. So your citations, references should be relevant. Then they will appreciate it more. As a Kshatriya, your duty is to protect the world, and for that you have to be strong, not only physically, militarily, not only that, but also spiritually. You should have the Shastra Bala, Atma Bala, Jnana Bala, you must have. So Arjuna, you belong to this wonderful parampara. So you should gain this knowledge. Continuing, he says, verse 2, Evam parampara praptam, Evam parampara praptam, Imam rajashayo viduhu, Imam Sakale naha mahata, Sakale neha mahata, Yogo nashtah parantapa, Yogo nashtah parantapa. Evam parampara praptam, Imam rajarshayo viduhu, Sakale neha mahata, Yogo nashtah parantapa. So now, Evam parampara praptam imam. This teaching, thus, Evam, this teaching has been coming down in the form of Guru Shishya Parampara. It is like the perennial Ganga. Our tradition looks upon Gangaji as Jnana Ganga, flow of knowledge. Ganga is ever flowing, perennial. So also this Jnana knowledge. Ganga starts from the Lord's head, so does this Jnana. That is why we chant Sada Shiva Samarambham. From the Lord alone, it has come. Ganga removes all impurities. Knowledge removes the impurity of ignorance. If you take a dip in Gita Ganga, your samsara malam will wash away. Bhagwan will say in the 18th chapter, you read at least one verse from Gita every day. Just one verse. Who can say, I don't have time to read one verse from the Gita? And Shankaracharya also says in Bhajagovindam, Geyam Gita Nama Sahasram. So thus Ganga and Gita are compared because they are both purifiers. Gita knowledge is parampara praptam, handed down through Guru Sishya Parampara. Rajarshayo viduhu. All Rajarishis knew this wisdom. They were kings. They were involved in worldly activities, but they had this knowledge. They were not sannyasis living in an ashrama, but they were living in the palace, governing their kingdoms. In spite of the tremendous responsibilities, they managed to get this wisdom. So indicating that this wisdom, this Atma Jnana, is so important. And what happened to such a great wisdom? Slowly, people started to lose interest in that knowledge. Now, Bhagwan is describing what happened at that time, 5,000 plus years ago. At that time, he says people have lost interest in this. They got distracted. Today, how much of distractions we have? Oh my God. Movies, TV, internet, cell phone, social media. They didn't have all that 5,000 years back, but they were still distracted. What to speak of now? So he says, Hey Parantapa, hey Arjuna, scorcher of enemies, Saha Yogaha Nashtaha. The teaching slowly disappeared. got weakened. Mahata kalena, or passage of a long time. Now one may ask, you just said that this knowledge is avyayam, imperishable. Then how do you say it disappeared? Here, nashta does not mean it perished completely. It's not readily available. Fewer and fewer people were interested in this knowledge. Nowadays, we see that not too many people are interested in this knowledge. Vedas, Gita. So Bhagavan says, I have noticed this and I've come here. So Bhagavan has taken up this role to revive this knowledge. One of the main reasons for his avatar. And he continues, Sayevayam maya tedya, Sayevayam maya tedya, Yoga prokta puratanaha, Yoga prokta puratanaha, Bhaktosi me saka cheti, Bhaktosi me saka cheti, Rahasyam hetaduttamam. Rahasyam hetaduttamam. Sayevayam maya tedya. Yoga proktah puratanaha. Bhaktosi me saka cheti. Rahasyam hetaduttamam. So he says, protecting this teaching is my job. I am the one who brought this teaching to the universe, so I do have the responsibility to preserve this teaching also. I have noticed that this teaching is on the decline. Therefore, I have decided to revive this teaching. And I have chosen you as a representative for the entire humanity. I am going to teach the world through you. That is true. The teaching that Bhagavan gave to Arjuna, we are all beneficiaries of that. So he says, Sa eva ayam yoga. That only is the very same yoga that includes both karma and jnana yoga. That was called Vedas before. And Vedas do have both karma and jnana kanda. You know that. Karma kanda is there, jnana kanda is also there. So that corresponds to karma yoga and jnana yoga. Karma to get purity of mind, and knowledge that would liberate you. This is the same yoga. Maya proktaha te adya. That I taught, that I have taught you in the second chapter already. It's the same knowledge that I taught at that time also. I had given the same knowledge at the time of creation. So that knowledge is puratanaha. The oldest teaching, the most ancient teaching. This is time-tested wisdom. This is not something that is new. This is not a new age philosophy. Old. Even Vedic rishis declared that they are not the originators of this knowledge. They always say, we got this wisdom from our gurus. They say, iti shushruma purvesham. We heard this from great teachers who were there before us. This means the origin of this knowledge cannot be traced. So Bhagavan calls it Puratanaha Maya Proktaha, and says, I am also one of the traditional acharyas. Then the next question. Why did he choose Why did Sri Krishna choose Arjuna? Simple answer. He asked Bhagavan to help him. He surrendered to the Lord. I am your disciple. Teach me. Teach me what is good for me. Arjuna had said, studied in the second chapter, Karpanya doshaha upahatta svabhavaha pritchami tvam dharma sammuda chetaha yachreyasya nishchitam bruhitan me shishyasteham shadimam tvam prapannam. Shishyaha te aham, I am your disciple. So teach me what is absolutely good for me. I'm your disciple. Please teach me. The most important qualification for a student is Shraddha and Bhakti. Most important. So the Lord says, Arjuna, I chose you because Bhaktosi me. Bhaktaha asi. You are my Bhakta. You are a devotee of me. You are my Bhakta. So I have to teach. And you have come, surrendered to me and asked for the knowledge. So I have to give you. Getting people to listen to you is most difficult. And Arjuna, you are ready to listen to me? So I'm not gonna let you go. Further, Sakacha iti. You're also my friend. How sweet. Even if you have not asked me, I would have told you. A friend in need is a friend indeed. When your friend commits a mistake, it's your responsibility to point out and help to correct the mistake. Bhartrihari in Nidhi Shatakam, he says, Papat nivarayati. Friend is making a mistake, point it out and see if he's available for listening. You have to redeem him from Papa. So Bhagavan says, you are my friend. It's my duty to suggest my solution to your problem. You are disciple, you are my friend. So I have decided to give you this wisdom. And this knowledge, wisdom is, Hi etad uttamam rahasyam. This is the greatest secret in the world. Uttamam, greatest rahasyam, secret. Why? What we are searching for in our life is within us only. The self-knowledge teaches you that. That is the great secret. Therefore, this is called Uttamam Rahasyam. And this I have decided to give you. Okay. So when Bhagavan said, Arjuna had a question. Arjuna Vuvacha Aparam Bhavato Janma Aparam Bhavato Janma Param Janma Vivasvatah Param Janma Vivasvatah Katametat Vijaniyam Katametat Vijaniyam Tvamadau Proktavaniti Tvamadau Proktavaniti Aparam bhavato janma param janma vivasvatah katametad vijaniyam tvamadau proktavaniti. So in 3 verses, Bhagavan has talked about the glories of Gita, and in that he has condensed the wisdom of entire Vedas. Vedas are called Shruti, and Gita is called Smriti. Smriti is a remembrance by the rishis of what they heard as Shruti. When Arjuna heard that the Lord has taught this wisdom to Surya Bhagavan, Bhagavan said that he got a doubt. That teaching was at the time of creation, long time ago. Now you say I am teaching the same wisdom to you now. How is that possible? Huh? You were born recently. We are contemporaries. Arjuna was a few years younger than Bhagavan Sri Krishna. And they were hanging around as friends only. Later on, we will see that also. Arjuna would apologize. I didn't know you were Bhagavan. I was treating you as a friend. I was playing around with you. All that he would say. They were contemporaries. How could you have taught Surya Bhagavan at the beginning of creation and still be here? So Arjuna Uvacha, he says, Bhavatah Janma Aparam. Your birth is very aparam, recent. Vivasvatah Janma Param. Birth of Vivaswan was param a long time ago. Then Katam Etat Vijaniyam. How am I to reconcile these two statements? How to understand? Tvam Adav Proktavaniti, that you are the one who taught in the beginning. How can I accept that? No problem in that you are teaching me, but this lingering doubt I have. How could you have taught at the time of creation, in the very beginning? Could you clarify that? Arjuna asked this question because later on, other people should not raise this inconsistency. And whenever they have a problem, they will raise this and dismiss the entire teaching. Some people are there just waiting for such. So, this is appropriate for a human being who is subject to birth and death. For a jiva, all that is applicable. But for Ishvara, and so Arjuna asked this question, and the Lord will reveal his true identity. Arjuna, your question is valid if you think this is my first birth. I've taken many, many births. I'm not a jiva, but I'm Ishvara. As an answer to this question alone, Bhagavan will introduce the topic of avatar. In the next few verses, we are going to talk about this avatara siddhanta. So Arjuna's question is actually a leading question. It leads us to the discussion on avatara. And that we will see in the next class. Om Purnamadav Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya